The effects, the impacts, of the civic seas across the country since he commences it across the country to educate cell unions, and we're going to look at other government activity as well. We also be discussing the controversies surrounding the fate of the former Vice President, Chief Alhaji Samsumana, to contest for the All People's Congress APC flag bearer position as well in the program. But the minister is here, and we're going to continue the show, not waste any time, Mr. Minister. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much. First off, Mr. Minister, give us an update and the impact so far the civic seas have created across the country since you commenced it, I think, a year or so ago in Sierra Leone.
Yeah. So thank you for having me again. The Civic Day series is part of President Bio's vision to basically open up the governing space in this country, to ensure that we remove any barriers between citizens and their governments, and to create this culture of civic dialogue. We use it as a platform to raise awareness, to educate, to let citizens know what's happening. But I think the most important thing is a platform for engagement, the back and forth. We have received thousands of questions and commentary from citizens across the country, and governments respond to those. It produces better outcomes. It makes our democracy better. We started off by hosting a civic festival last year, which I'm very proud to announce that we will host again this year, December 11th through the 13th at the same venue at UU Building. We will take over the entire complex of UU Building again. And the choice of UU Building is symbolic. It is the choice of government. And we're going to open the doors and say citizens can come forth, and we will show them what we did with their money, what we did for them, what we did with them over the year. And we will host town halls on various issues. This year we're gonna take on the most controversial issues and bring on the most controversial voices and say, let's have a debate, because that's what President Bio believes in. But when we did that last year, we got a lot of feedback that this is so great, but we want you to do it across the country. So we've been to major towns across the country where we have had 10, 15 government ministers, top government functionaries take unedited, direct question, unfiltered, from ordinary average citizens in a respectful, dignified, civic enhancing way. We've hosted a presidential town hall as well in Kenema, which was led fantastically by the Honorable Chief Minister, who did a terrific job representing His Excellency. We took over 50 questions. As you know, you guys thankfully carried it live. We want to thank you for your partnership with each and every one of those Civic Day series. But I think it's part of a continuum of what we've been doing. From the press conferences, which are basically mini town halls, because it's open to citizens and everybody can send their questions, and the Civic Day series across the country, which I'm also proud to say this year, when we go to the United Nations General Assembly next week, we will host a Civic Day series for the Sierra Leone diaspora. So we'll get the Chief Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Minister of Health, Minister of Communications, and a host of other government functionaries also take direct questions from the Sierra Leone diaspora, because their voices matter. They are an integral part of our democracy, and we want that conversation to continue. Next week, before we go, we'll be in McKinney as well for another one of the Civic Day series. So it's been a fantastic, a great platform to continue a tradition of civic engagement and civic dialogue and civic debates. And it is about promoting open governance in our country.
It's very significant, and most people will applaud the Ministry of the format of communication, which is Creole. And it was barrier back then. You know, people were saying that they cannot understand what government is doing, and you know, for them to understand what government is doing, they need to know by government telling them to the local language. And you bring that up. Why do you decide to bring that up in terms of giving back to Sierra Leone in terms of what government is doing?
Well, language is important. I think it was Mandela who said that when you want to speak to people's hearts, you speak in a language that they understand. And politicians always knew that. That's why they campaigned in Creole. No matter what the campaigner was, the mode of campaign was always in Creole, because when you speak to people's hearts, you get them. It feels like in our body politic we missed something. We communicated in English when it comes to the governance. And one of the first things we have done, and one of the things we're most proud of, is we changed the language. We just said, let's speak in a language that people understand. Because the point of communication, I'm a commerce person. Point of communication is people must understand, but also create opportunities for two-way communication and interaction. And so the second thing that we have done is not just the language, but also that we have created this opportunity for citizens to talk back at us, to send us questions. And my commitment on that press conference and all, if you send a question, a comment or a text, we'll play it, we'll read it live, we'll read it out live, we'll publish it out, because we're not censoring. We want citizens to understand that the Ministry of Information and Civic Education is about building public trust. That's also been important. The other thing is we don't treat our citizens as if we're too busy for them. In the past, government ministers will send junior workers to go talk for them. When it comes to press and civic engagements, it will not be the kind of high-powered nature that the Ministry of Information has done. Me as the minister, I make it a point. It is my appointment with the citizens of this country on a weekly basis, almost without fail, that I'm there on that platform, chairing and answering and responding to questions on all things government. And just last week, you saw I had a Minister of Health, I had a Minister of Development, I had a Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and I had a Development Secretary. Top people in government sitting there and speaking to citizens in a language that citizens understand. This is also unprecedented. But I think on top of that is that we have found ways to move messages to our citizens in the modes that the citizens appreciate. We're meeting citizens where they are. We don't expect them to meet us where we are. So in the past, we had high-minded language. It was sophisticated, and we will demonstrate that, we sabi. What we're doing now is, at the end of every week, we'll have our press conference summarized in Mende, Creole, Timini. I think we have Fula. I think increasingly now different tribal groups in Sierra Leone are coming to us and say, wow, no get we own. So we're adding Soso, we're adding Madingo, because people want to be spoken to in their own language. There's a sense of national pride. We're on social media, on all the social media platforms. We're cutting these videos up, we're cutting audios up, we're doing text updates. We are making sure that the government utilizes its bullet pulpits and spreading the message. But we're also not being greedy with the platform. We've brought in people who are critical of us. When we go to McKinney, we will have people in the opposition on the panel with us, because that's what democracy is about. It is better when we can all talk to each other in a civil conversation. So those are the things we're most proud of.
It's very important. I remember when you stood the president at the Bintumani Conference Center, it was quite unique. It was the first time in the history of Sierra Leone to get the president itself to answer to questions to citizens. How did you see that? As part of building the democracy that Sierra Leone's deserve, the inclusion that the president always saying that he wants to give back to the people, talking to the people. What impact does that created on that day for governance?
I think that's a good question. I think it's President Bill deserves the credit. He was a military leader in this country in 1995-96. He chose democracy. He handed over power and he left. He started a peace process when instead he could have said, I'm a general, I'm going to just fight. He's always believed in dialogue, in discourse. Even in his first term, he will go across all the media platforms. He came here and took questions directly. First president to say, I'm going to be in the studio, I'm going to go talk to you, not you just come and meet me. He's always believed in that. And that's the mandate that he gave us. How can we create more platforms, and how can we institutionalize the idea that citizens and their governments will always talk? So what he did with the presidential town hall was take it to the highest level and create a norm that ordinary average citizens can pick up the mic and use their phones and talk to their presidents, and he can answer them. And when he did, he gave us so much content that we have used on issues, for example, the most complex issues, FGM, child marriage, abortion. All of these things, he took questions on that stage and he spoke from the heart. He gave us a window into his thinking, into his heart, and I think people saw the man. They saw the compassionate leader that he is, they saw the thoughtful leader that he is, they saw the thorough leader that he is. And I think that is useful for our democracy, because it's easy to demonize when you think of the president as not human. But when you see him as human, you engage with him, you hear him, you'll understand that this man goes to bed only thinking about how he can solve the problems that we have, and we have many problems. But his commitments, I don't think, can be questioned at all. So I think it's great for our democracy. It's the openness, the candor, the interaction, the exchanges. These are all fantastic for our democracy, and it's part of the building block to enhance the democratic space in our country.
Yeah, you spoke about the initiative of bringing the Civic Fest to the U building. That was quite a very unique idea. I met so many friends, and they were saying that they love the entertainment aspect of of that Civic Fest. I think it was around April or so.
December.
Oh yes, the one last year.
Yeah, it was December.
Yes, December.
We always do it in December.
Early December.
Yes,
so most people were thinking that why can't us or the ministry move it a bit towards.
Well, we have to do it when offices are open. We have to do it when government functionaries can be there, because the first and most important reason for the Civic Festival is an opportunity to showcase what government has done. It's to show you what your government has done over the past year. It's for each ministry to exhibit, and this year we're going to do it not just with the ministries, we're doing all the MDAs. Every MDA is going to be invited by sector, by ministry. So you have the ministry, you have all the agencies. They will showcase what they have done. They will all have their own spaces to exhibit, and citizens over a 3-day period. Anybody, any citizen, you can go there, you can ask questions, you can learn, you can interact, and you can be part of the different panel discussions that we're going to have with interesting conversations. It targets particularly young people, but we want the general public to come so that you see that your government works for you and the government is showing you how it's working for you. The entertainment part is because Sierra Leone, we are fun-loving people. And entertainment is part of civics. I really want to thank my brother, Besa Phonics, and all the artists that performed. It was Famous, LAJ, all these guys. Every one of them were their star. They all came, and by the way, they did it from the goodness of their hearts. Pay them, then say this now for the country, Salon Big Pass we all. So we will be part of it. Incredible sense of civic leadership, and people just had fun. We enjoyed ourselves, and as you recall, we had IB Kagbo and Julius Spencer as co-chairs on the stage, speaking to citizens and saying, look, I may be APC and you might be SLPP, but December is a festive month in this country, so we take advantage of the spirit of that. But Salon, a big pass we are. The country is bigger than all of us. That's the spirit that we're trying to push as well in the Ministry of Information and Civic Education.
Bringing the ministers and the MDs to the people, and I remember, I think it was in Cambia or so, when the Minister of Justice was there, the AG, and other dignitaries, ministers was also there. There were a lot of questions in terms of issues around governance, issues around justice, and it was that conversational between the people and the ministries, and now you're moving it to next week. I think it's in McKinney.
Yeah, we're in McKinney next week.
You're going to McKinney as well.
On Tuesday, inshallah.
Yeah. So what are we expecting in McKinney? And
I think it's the same thing. It's a continuum. We expect we'll get the AG, Minister of Local Government, confirmed. We're hoping we'll get Minister of Agriculture. We have other top government ministers who will be with us, will be on the panel. taking questions directly from citizens, reporting on and explaining things like we'll have statistics Sierra Leone there, reporting on the upcoming census, what is happening. We'll talk about the constitutional review process, the debates about redistricting and why we're creating these new localities, what is happening around that. We'll talk about, you know, the PR system of governance, explain and debunk misinformation that's been spread out there, and challenge and be challenged as well. Yeah. We want citizens to tell us, oh, problems of trade and things like that. They want to hear about progress that we've made. For example, on the Big Five agenda, we want to present that report to them. And the most important thing of the Civic Day series typically is not what we say, it's what we hear back. It's when citizens speak. For me, I get a pulse of the country. I also get to learn about things that affect our citizens that I bring back into cabinets. And questions that are not answered, we try to go find the answer and bring it back to our citizens. So that's what we continue to do in general for the citizens of our country. And I think McKinney is going to be a great one, because we will be at the University of McKinney on Tuesday at 10. We'll kick off as well.
Yeah, it's very important. You brought up two key issues that have actually been the topic of conversation in Sierra Leone, the PI system, which the president, I think you're not here, you know, when the president, you know, read this scorecard in Parliament, and
yes,
that was the talk of town, you know, the PI system, the formats. The president said it's not going to be PR for Parliament, PR for you know, council, but it's going to cut across even the executive. And that have sparked debate, more especially from the opposition. And they actually have already coined it, saying that it's power sharing. So what is the position, or probably what do you want to speak on that as well?
Power sharing is not a dirty word. To share power is a good thing. Nobody should have exclusive claim of power. If you read the TRC reports and you read any single position paper on what promotes violence and anything in our societies, they will tell you that the idea that the winner takes all is a problem. The idea that you get 49%, me get 51%, but who come for shame, I get 100%, just because I beat you by 2%. The president, as I've said, has a history and a commitment to democracy and reform. He's a bold thinker. I think history will remember him for being bold. Constitution, the peace process, democracy, the peace commission, cohesion, death penalty, criminal libel, rape, sexual offenses. This man has done big things. He's a big thinker. And so he's come back to the citizens and say, we're having a conversation about PR. First, it's about how do we have our elected representatives? And he just challenged us. He didn't say that's where we're going to go. He said, I think we should also have a conversation. Let's have a, because look, on the legislative front, PR is already part of the laws of our country. We will conduct our elections based on the PR system, which we did. It produces more equitable outcome. We have more women in parliament. It produces, and there are questions, right? We should reduce the threshold. We're clear on that. Maybe that allows smaller parties to also get in there. And we can do better about the types of PR that we use. But almost 140 countries around the world use a form of PR. It tells you that. And of the countries that are credited on good governance indexes, 9 out of 10 use a form of PR. So look, we can use PR and PR can work. I think that question is settled. What President Bill has done, which he typically does, is to invite us to an even higher conversation. Can we adopt the principles of proportional representation within the executive arm of our government? Can it not just be about how we distribute seats in parliament, but also can we have conversations about, is there a way that even after the SLPP will have won the election, which we intend to win in 2028, the other parties will be like, oh, you know, can we have considerations in appointment of commissioners, in appointment of heads of parastatals, in appointment of other political jobs? There are thousands of political jobs. maybe even ministers. Although, you know, I happen to believe the presidents obviously will continue to have the powers to decide and pick their own team, whoever the president is. But the president, he said, if you read his speech, he said, can we have a conversation? Is there value in this? Because he believes in debate. I just said he's created a whole culture of civic debate. And that's the debate that's happening now. So I think it's always a mistake when you're invited into a conversation and you start by Astafulai. Because that's not how democracy wins. That's not how ideas are born. That's not how the whole Renaissance, the whole idea of transformation in society, you know, the Medici age, the products of a good debate is what makes great societies. And a good debate does not start by saying Astafulai. A good debate says, oh, what's that idea? How can I engage that idea? Are there aspects of that idea that are good? These are my reasons why I think that idea may not work, or this is the only way that idea will work. That's what we in the SLPP, we in the government of Sierra Leone are doing, because our president sets that stage and he invites us all to be part of the conversation. And I think if you talk to the ordinary citizens, the ordinary man, not the politician, not the ones who hold political party positions, the ordinary man, they know it's a good idea. Because that's how they operate in life. They don't say that because Nami force reach, Nami for clear all this. Just because I beat you by 5% means in America gets 100%. That's the proportional representation simply means me cannot take all thing. Man no mondo all thing. I capu all thing, you no get nothing. If we don't contest for the same thing. Low Fenway, we get 80 or 30%, you will get 20 or 30%, low Fenway say, you say get small, let hold something, let you feel like you're not part of the system. Because otherwise, at the end of the day, if in my village an election is conducted, the people on the other side, let's say 40% of them vote for one person. 40% is a big number. But those 40% have no voice. At the end of the election, they go home. They say, past 5 years ago, before anybody listened to we. Past 5 years again, before anybody talked to, before anybody feels say we're not part of them. PR system is just saying, no, those 40%, then select and get one table at it. You will get 60, so you get 2. Because it's based on a reflection of the number of people that you have. That's the whole idea of it. Right. And it's a beautiful idea on its substance. If anybody starts by saying no to that idea, it's because, you know, my old teacher used to say that you cannot make up your mind even with that before starting the conversation. People's minds are made up irrespective of the fact. I need to hear government say no. That's not going to advance the democracy. Let's be open. Let's have a reasonable conversation. You're reasonable people. Let's say, what's wrong with the idea? Nothing wrong. Right. It's a brilliant idea for the democracy that we have. This is a polarized country. We're divided. We've got two sides mainly. We've got the APC side mostly and the SLPP side and some smaller parties. We're saying let's get everybody in the room. Let's make sure that proportional representation, by the way, it's not just about political parties. It's about representation of different interest groups, young people, which the TRC calls for, to also have a voice, women, people with disability, people from every district, the people in Afalaba who are often ignored and forgotten, Karine, the people in Bandajuma, you know, the people in remote areas. Can we create a system that allows them to also have a voice in the governance of our country?
All right, well, I've just been joining my co-presenter, Victor Jones. You know, I stepped in anyway, and Victor is here already, and yeah, honestly, of course, more especially he stays all the way at Regent. And other places like waterlogged.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's quite scary. Welcome. Indeed. Jones as well.
Good morning, Mr. Minister.
We kept the minister here for quite a very long time, but I've already apologized.
You apologize,
It's fine, although I have to leave very soon. I would like to leave around 9:15, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Definitely. That's fine. That's fine, Mr. Minister.
Yeah. Also, Mr. Minister, a while ago, the Minister of Labour was talking about increasing minimum wage across Sierra Leone. Is this something that is still on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think the president was clear that he has given instructions for that constitution to be. The thing about increasing the minimum wage, of course, there's a cost attached to it. We talk about the value of the we speak all the time about the size of our wage bill. Sierra Leone, we spend a significant percentage of our government expenses goes to just paying salaries. When you increase the minimum wage, that also goes up. There's a value in it as well because you want people to live a dignified life. President Bill, by the way, during his tenure has already increased the minimum wage, but we want that to continue as a reflection, of course, of like the changing metrics in cost of living, in the economy and things like that. So that's a conversation that's happening, and I know that President Bill is very committed to it. And the Minister of Labour is a champion of this, and he's been very vocal in that one as well.
I know attention is also being turned to the Tomabom Rice Project.
We always talk about Tomabom.
How far is it?
You know, the Minister of Agriculture actually has presented the report on the Feed Salon initiative. And it was interesting because I was in the room, he was presenting to His Excellency, and he said, I know that everybody talks about Tomabom. And then he presented a lot of details about the progress that's been made and that we're already beginning to see yields from Tomabom. And you know, so if you look at the data on I think on Tuesday at the press conference, the Minister of Development presented on the scorecard of the Feed Salon in terms of, you know, hectares that we've cultivated, rice that we've produced. On all of those things, we're seeing a positive indication. I think some newspapers carry the numbers that on the scorecard we're doing. In fact, he has exceeded the baseline standards that were set, the expectations that were set. And so I don't have all those numbers off the top of my head, but I can assure you that Tomabom is a viable project.
The country has saved 15 million euros.
No, in terms of resources, in terms of on imports, we've saved 18 million, for example, on just one area in terms for imports into the country. As you know now, we export cooking oil. We don't have shortages in any essential commodity in the country anymore. Look, in the past, I think when I became minister, one of the first things we came here, I had to learn everything about onions because onions were basically impossible to find, you know. It was so expensive, difficult, a global crisis. We now have onion production in this country that is able to not just provide for the country, but I think also even considering exporting it as well to other countries. So in terms of the investment that we've made in Feed Sierra Leone, we're not where we need to be. I don't want to give the impression that, oh, we don't answer all the questions, we don't solve all the problems. We have not. But I think that we are on the right path, and that's the most important thing.
There's also another big problem at the moment. There is serious encroachment happening around this Takogama, you know, chimpanzee sanctuary. And Bala was here the last time, he also cried, you know, saying that he has given the government from now to December to fix it. If not, he'll walk away. Is this something you're considering? Adding security around that place?
Bala is my friend. He's done a remarkable job. He's, I think, a patriot. I mean, I think he's an example of somebody who adopts a country and becomes that country. And I think he's part and parcel of the Sierra Leone community. We must thank him for what he's done. I think he will be the first to tell you that President Bio is personally committed to this. He's met with him. President has gone there. He's taken actions. Recently, you saw the Chief Minister lead a whole delegation of like ministers across governments and give clear instructions in terms of steps that should be taken. And I know that just this week as well, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, the Honorable Jiwa Abdullahi, has been taking some other big steps as well to address these issues. It's not just about encroachments in that area. It's about how we conserve our environment, the steps we take. You know, today's been raining, and you see the effect of that. When we tell people don't cut down the trees, it's going to affect you in other ways. You know, how we take care of the environment, how we, you know, disburse and use land in the country, and how people illegally encroach on places where they've been told not to encroach. So it's a holistic step. Even as Minister of Information and Civic Education, we have a role to play, because in our civic strategy, we have Clean Salon, which is about what can we do, all of us, to take care of the environment, and that's something we're collaborating with the ministry on. So I think this is a national affair, and I, as I said, we don't. I don't want us to approach it by setting, you know, deadlines for each other and giving each other ultimatum. I think we're partners, and we're going to continue to work together. I think there's commitment on all sides, and I think yes, there's frustrations about the lack of progress that we've seen in the past. But this is something that I know that President Bio is personally committed to. And I know that at the highest levels of government, pretty much every time we meet as a government, including yesterday during cabinet, this is something that we talked about.
Do you think it will be possible for His Excellency to pull off the amendment of the 1991 Constitution before leaving?
I can assure you that we will have a new and improved Constitution before President Bio's tenure ends. This is a commitment that President Bio has made. Look, the constitutional review process started with President Ahmed Tijan Kaba.
Yeah.
We all agreed as a country then that, we need to improve aspects of our constitution. President Anes Bai Nkrumah took that constitution, set up a really broad-based team that was led by Justice Kawan. They came up with a broad set of recommendations, all of which have been accepted by this government. And then we've added to that to take it to the next level. There's a technical process that's going on now that's been led by the AG. There's no more committee. We're out of the committee stage. We've incorporated the recommendations again following conversations with the opposition and others from the tripartite to be part of that process so that we have a comprehensive process. But I can assure you, I can assure the people of Sierra Leone that the two steps that need to be taken, one are the legislative reforms that do not require a referendum, the non-entrenched clauses. Those are going to start immediately. In fact, processes on that have started. The AG's team, I know, have been working really hard on that based on the work that's been done across 3 different administrations. And then the second one is the target for the referendum. Work is already beginning to be done on that. We will have, and the AG has said, just yesterday, 2 days ago, I was listening to his interview, and I know this as well because I'm part of the conversations, that what we are seeking to do is to have a set of reforms in the Constitution that will not go to the public with 20 questions. Because even if Liberia, they just did 4 questions, it's too complex. So what we want to say is, we can get this Constitution, we'll get a different Constitution now. You say yes or you say no. And we spell out what are the different things in that Constitution. So the conversation is going to be about that in the campaigns, and we are hoping that we'll have the full support of every Sierra Leonean. Because I think every Sierra Leonean knows the 1991 Constitution has played its part. But it's time for us to transition to a new one. And that is what this is about. It's how do we get an improved constitution that will cater to the social, economic, political, and every need of the citizens of our country.
Lastly, for me, Mr. Minister, so you've been quite busy with the SLBC, rebranding it as an instrument of democracy. Is it, you concluded? Process?
No.
I noticed you were quite busy with
SLBC. We're only in the beginning of the process. Okay. We're working with MRCG to review their act as well. Again, speaking of laws, again, this is from 2010, and that law is already old. So the constitution too needs to be updated. So MRCG is leading a consultation process now. I've charged them to be bold, but it's not just about the law. And I've said to them, SLBC's problem do not start from just their legal instruments. We have technical problems there.
Indeed.
We have human capacity problems there. We have structural problems there. We have administrative problems there. And these are problems that predate all of us. We've inherited these problems and we're seeking to solve these problems. What I can assure you though is, again, it's one of the things that's at the top of my mind, but definitely on the top of President Bio's mind. And he has given me a very clear instruction. And I can tell you, we are working on bold reforms for SLBC, and very soon we'll have some things to be able to announce.
I know most people like to go to the United States of America, and they are very concerned about, I know the recent press release, I think it was a couple of months ago, for
visa
restrictions as well. Probably you might want to update Sierra Leoneans on that, and
well, the
MCC,
US
we still stand to get that huge amount of money, 48 million or so.
MCC is a done deal. That's now law in the US, and the process of that is ongoing. In fact, I know they're in the process of recruitment right now for the directors and technical staff that they had advertised for. That process is going on through the mechanism that they have set up as part of our partnership with the United States government, which we welcome and we are grateful for. The second bit is the visa restriction. Now, the US had announced that they will do a review this month, so we're waiting to see the outcome of that review. As a government, we have made clear, look, the ban is not because of the conduct of governments. It's because of the conduct of ordinary citizens who overstay. who go to study and refuse to come back. And that's on all of us. That's a civic call. Part of why we're doing the Civic Day in the US is because we want to talk about that. We want to talk to ordinary citizens and say, your actions as a Sierra Leonean, you're an emissary, you're an ambassador. You go, you get this incredible opportunity, and then you close the door behind every one of your kids and everybody else that come by. There's something inherently unfair about that, and it's not patriotic. So we're asking citizens, if you go, don't overstay. And some people overstay for careless reasons. Some people they overstay for 2 days, but you add to the number, then will percentage go up. So we have a duty as well as the government to raise awareness. But we're hoping that the steps that we've taken, the commitment that we've made, the Foreign Affairs Minister said the other day that he's confident that we will take steps and that Sierra Leone will be removed from that list. I believe in the minister's commitments, but more than that, I believe in President Bio's commitments and the work that his government is doing, and our partnership with the US, that they will see that as a government, we want to be collaborative, we want to be cooperative, and hopefully Sierra Leone will get back on the clean list. I
know we have so many questions, and because of time, the minister is running. But quickly, delegation, including the president, will be leaving to Onga next week. What is expecting, from Sierra Leone in terms of our participation there as well in the United States of America?
Well, we're one of the important countries in the world. We sit on the Security Council. Our president will address the General Assembly, as is the tradition. He will have high-level bilateral, multilateral engagements. He's taking a lean team this year as well with him, very strategic. We will have different conversations and partnerships. Some of us are going to be around as well, to champion the interest of our country. So I think Sierra Leoneans should expect a continuation of the work that President Bio has done since he assumed the presidency, which is to lift the country high, to put us in a position of respect and dignity on the international stage, and to seek opportunities that will improve the lives of our citizens. That's what we'll continue to do.
Jones?
Yeah.
I think the minister needs to leave. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, my brothers.
You left your house, under this heavy
very
across the country as well.
I mean, this is serious rain. I hope our citizens are safe out there. I wish everybody well as they navigate.
Yeah. Thank you very much. He's the Minister of Information and Civic Education.